Welcome, I'm John Caldera, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. A little later, we're going to talk about a think tank for children? No, I guess they're called millennials now. They want respect. But first, you know them, you love them, you read them every day in ColoradoPolitics.com. Joey Bunch.
Great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about Colorado politics. I mean, you guys are building fast from what looked like a tiny little thing to now a pretty sizable thing.
Yeah, we're growing. We're adding correspondents. We're adding permanent staff. We're getting out across the state. You know, we're building relationships with local papers. So pretty much you'll be reading us all over the state soon, if not later. And of course, our weekly magazine. We hope to take that glossy. And
you guys absorbed, took over, bought out, hostily taken over. You guys bought the Colorado Statesman, and you might not know the Colorado Statesman, but it's kind of the high school newspaper for the Capitol, all right? It probably has a circulation of 200 or something, but every legislator, every lobbyist, everybody reads the Statesman. Why absorb that?
Well, you know, it actually has a pretty large...
Actually, it does. It's several thousand.
And it's a 118-year-old institution. And in that bargain, we inherited Ernest Looning, who I think is a great reporter, one of the best in the state. So, you know, that was a good move for us because we were new. We were the new kids on the block, and we were growing fast. But it gave us that cachet. Now, it's a little bit different than the way they operated. I mean, they became a part of us. So they're following the vision that Vince Bizdick, who is our leader. So it's a different mission now. So things are changing, and
also it's different for you guys because now you got paper. I mean, before you only had electrons. Now ColoradoPolitics.com has newsprint. What's going to happen to it? Is it still going to be a weekly paper?
It's going to be a weekly magazine. We're hoping to take it glossy this fall. And you know, the thing about print is it still makes a lot of money. The Denver Post makes a lot of money. That money just goes to New York and never comes back. But
it's kind of like Washington and our taxes, but yes.
Exactly. And our subscriber base is growing. I thought that when we absorbed the Statesman, and we're putting some stories behind the paywall now, I thought that that'll just kill our clicks. They've nearly doubled. You know, every month our clicks are higher and higher than they were the month before because there's a real appetite for this inside politics. You know, the mainstream media, the newspapers that cater to the same people who like to read about the Broncos and read about, you know, the good restaurants in town. You know, the politics, you're just trying to grab a headline on the way by.
That was the crime of losing the Rocky and then watching the Denver Post turn into a newsletter, is that local reporting and Capitol beat reporting really got squeezed. And so now with Colorado politics, it's I think starting to get a rebirth. And so we're excited. It's going to be a glossy magazine?
Yeah, we're hoping so.
Can I be your first centerfold?
I would love to. I'd love to have it. But, you know, competition is good. It's good in everything. It's good in business. And now you see the Denver Post starting to talk about covering the kind of things that we're making a killing off of, which is the granular day-to-day politics. And they're talking about starting a vertical on their website, a politics side as well. So just shows you, when the Rocky was here, it was good for both papers. And when the Rocky went away, it was terrible for the Denver Post.
Well, it was terrible because there used to be such a rivalry between the two. I mean, there was a love-hate relationship. You could feel it in the newsroom. I'm not talking about the business offices, but this reporter didn't want to get scooped by their reporters, and the other way around. And it was fun. There was a lot of respect, but it was the Denver Broncos and the Raiders. I mean, it was, you guys were always going on. Let's talk a little local politics. Governor's race is getting a lot of attention, obviously. But there's other races out there, including this one for treasurer, which is going to be interesting. Now, Walker Stapleton is going to run for governor, even though he hasn't announced yet, because it's easier for him to raise money before he announces. Who's going to replace him?
It's a good question. You know, there's a lot of wannabes, but there's not a lot of front runners at this point. You know, we've got three good Republicans in the race, but the question is, do they have the two things that it takes? You know, it's kind of like a fight between guys with no arms right now. You know, you've got three candidates, you know, that I think are the front runners: Britta Horn, Kevin Lundberg, and Justin Timberlake. No, Justin Everett, and you know,
and Polly Lawrence is running.
And Polly Lawrence, that's the fourth good candidate. So, but they've all got to reach out across the state. And, you know, you look at the last two elections. We had Kerry Kennedy running against Walker Stapleton. Everybody knew who they were. The next election, you had Walker Stapleton running against J.J. Ament. Everybody knew who they were. And they were people with money. So what has to happen, I think, in the treasurer's race is somebody has to demonstrate that they're the candidate that donors want to get behind. Now, Polly Lawrence is a terrific woman. She's been a great legislator. But can she turn, and she raised a lot of money for the caucus last year.
But she's going to have a problem in that she voted for the hospital provider fee, which it was a $500 million a year tax increase and put us into debt, all without a vote of the people. So she's going to be running right into a Republican primary as a pro-tax, even without a vote of the people, Republican. And I have a hard time seeing that not sticking, at least in the primary, unless there's so many unaffiliateds who now get to vote. That's going to take care of it.
Yeah, that was exactly where I was going to go with it. We just don't know yet. You know, is that going to make the ultimate candidate more moderate? You know, in the past, you could either run far to the left or far to the right and win the primary, and then you just hope for the best in the general election. But this time, we've got those unaffiliated voters that could shake things up. Now, Justin Everett, if all things were equal, Justin Everett would be the guy that you would look to because he's got a very conservative you know, following. You know, they call him Justin Everett because he votes no on everything. But, you know, Kevin Lundberg has got credential with the school choice people. But does that matter in a treasurer race?
It does, though, in primaries. And Lundberg's been around so long in Colorado politics. He ran it for the second. He didn't win to polls, but I mean, people know him and they know him around. Justin is a whole lot younger, therefore I don't know if he's as known by the people who actually come out to vote. Talk to me a little bit about Britta Horn. Now, this is somebody, again, out of all of them, I think she's the only one that is actually a treasurer.
Right. But she's had some problems in the last 48 hours. You know, there was some bookkeeping problems in her department that didn't cause that the local governments that were supposed to get the money that they were supposed to get, they weren't getting that money. And then they were threatening to sue. And then they're threatening to sue about the percentage rate that they're going to get on the money that she's been sitting on. Now, I want to give Britta the trophy for the spin of the month because she says this qualifies her to be state treasurer because she's demonstrated that she can fix problems. Well, they're problems that her office kind of created, but she can fix them. But that demonstrates
truth to that too, though. I mean, that's there's a problem. I fixed it. Of course, I caused the problem, or my office caused the problem.
But you know, that's she. The point is that she has dealt with these problems before. And, you know, Justin, Kevin, Polly, they haven't. They've been state legislators. And, you know, Kevin is a terrific guy. Anybody that meets him is going to love him. But he also brings the baggage of, you know, every how many years of votes that he's taken in the legislature. But none of that really matters because nobody's got money to run attack ads. You know, again, you know, I may have all the dirt in the world in you, but if I don't have any money to get it on air and get that message out to people, then they're depending on people like me.
Only if you're a Republican. If you're a Democrat, you got there's a system there for you. These statewide seats, there are 4 of them: treasurer, attorney general, Secretary of State, and governor. Let's not forget that one. You know, but the other 3 are always aspiring governors. You know, Bill Owens ran for governor as treasurer. Mike Coffman ran for governor unsuccessfully. AG usually stands for aspiring governor. So do you see people doing this? What Walker Stapleton is doing, that I want that spot because I want to move up.
I don't know. You know, there are some good governor candidates in there. I think Kevin Lundberg would be a great governor. And, you know, we also didn't mention Steve Lebsock, the Democrat that's running for state treasurer. And, you know, I don't know.
Is he the only one?
I think so.
Why?
Yeah.
Why does this only happen on our side?
Well, you know, Democrats don't do well in midterm elections. And, you know, the Democrats that are out there saying Donald Trump's going to pull down the ticket, I think they're foolish at this point.
Why?
Because he hasn't pulled down the ticket. And it's so easy to dismiss him as a Republican. You know, he is, you know, should be the Republican in name only. This guy used to be a Democrat. And he has policies that in no way reflect.
Trump is more of a populist than he is a Republican. He's not the leader of the party in any sort of meaningful way. He should be, but he's not stepping up to that. But this is still could be a big Democrat year, even though we don't have a Senate fight this year. I would imagine, you know, put $20 on the table now, you got to say this is going to be a big Democrat year in 2018.
Well, 2 things will have to happen for that to happen. You'll have to have a big pile of money for the Democrats, and that could happen because if they smell blood in the water because of Trump, the money will come in from outside. And the other thing is that you've got to get those people to vote, and if the unaffiliated voters get involved in the primary, then we may have more moderate candidates. So it throws the old model out the window.
We had Dick Wadhams was here a couple weeks ago, threw that at him. He said, "Come on. When we have a Republican primary, we only get about a third of Republicans voting in the primary. What's going to happen to the unaffiliateds who get 2 ballots? Are they going to fill out both, which will disqualify them? I'm not convinced yet that open primaries are going to be really big until something happens on a big governor's race where the left is moving in. I don't know.
They'll have to motivate people, because take the AG's race, for example. You got Steve Lebsack. He's going to be the nominee. Then you're looking over here at the Democrat, and this has happened.
You said AG, you're talking Treasurer.
Yeah, Treasurer, right. I'm sorry. You look at that race. If I'm a Democrat, I have no reason to vote for Steve Lebsack. I know he's going to be my nominee. But if I don't want to run against Kevin Lundberg, then I might vote for one of these other candidates who I think are not going to be that strong in the general election. And that has happened. It happened in Alabama, I think in 1986, where the Democrats went out and said, okay, we're not worried about our primary. You go vote in the Republican primary.
Isn't that more likely to happen in the gubernatorial race?
Yeah.
And traditionally, Republicans have the circular firing squad. So we got 3 guys on the primary ballot all destroying one another, and there's usually just one person on the D side. This time around, there should be hopefully a few D's on there. So those D's are not going to leave the party to go switch here, and those unaffiliateds, they might break evenly. I don't know.
You're right about the governor's race. We just don't know yet. We just don't, what happened in Alabama was 30 years ago, and I don't think that would ever happen again. But we don't know.
We got about a minute left or so, but tell me, on the AG's race, we don't know if Cynthia Kaufman's going to run for re-election or run for governor. We'll find out hopefully soon. What's going on her challenger?
I don't know who her challenger is going to be, but I'm still saying Ken Buck. If she runs for governor, Ken Buck runs for attorney general. If he doesn't like the swamp in Washington, well, we don't have much humidity and swamp in Colorado. I think he'll come home for that. But now on the
Democratic side,
Democratic side, you've got Joe Salazar, who you've got
the ultimate Bernieite.
Well, exactly. And if we have a polarized race and Trump is really unpopular and the things that he's doing on immigration, Salazar could be the man. But you also have Michael Dougherty, who used to be the assistant AG. Now, he's only been in Colorado 10 or 12 years, but he's a viable candidate as well. So I think it's just way too early for us to be picking winners.
2018 is going to be fun. Joey Budge, read him at coloradopolitics.com. Stay tuned.